This is Hiring on All Cylinders, live from HR Tech. Hiring on all cylinders never ends here at HR Tech. We are back again with another installment from our cozy booth just next to Starbucks between registration, and I am joined by one of my favorite people in the space. He is the executive editor at RecruitingDaily. If you've been in HR for any time at all, you've definitely read his work. He's also on the board or an advisor for no less than 22 different companies. Matt Charney, so glad you could come back to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Third time's a charm, right?
Absolutely. I have a question for you right off the bat. Is HR Tech broken?
I think that HR Tech is actually fundamentally working, which is to say...
That's a hot take, actually, in the space.
Yeah, I think that what you're seeing is like a huge convergence between consumer technologies and HR technology. Now, obviously, when you look at things like Facebook at work, Twitter of all companies seems with their new dashboard app to be getting to or testing employee recognition.
Yep.
You have obviously G Suite or whatever it's called. I think they need to rename. And then obviously like Microsoft buying LinkedIn. When I look at the product plays here, and there's like an IBM booth even, I don't think that enterprise and consumer technology can be split from HR technology. Because at the end of the day, if you're a consumer of tech, you're both an employee, a candidate, and a hiring manager, whatever roles you want, right? So I think that this show probably won't exist in a few years, to be honest. I think it's all going to be consolidated, and we're seeing that given the fine folks at LinkedIn's counter-programming at this conference, correct?
Exactly, yeah. So given that sort of convergence between HR technology and other enterprise technology, one of the big things this year is AI. Now, I've been waiting to ask this whole time. Is there actually AI? Is there actually technology here? Is it just a little marketing, like a pie in the sky kind of idea? What have you seen out there on the floor?
So I think that artificial intelligence requires, obviously, some sort of intelligence to design it. So I think a lot of it's real dumb, which is actually the antithesis of what's promised. There are artificial intelligence products out there, but what they are... I guess I would think machine learning's probably where they fit in, because none of them are necessarily prescriptive or provide a lot of insights into what's going to happen next. They seem to be looking at historical aggregate data in order to like kind of snapshot in time or look backwards as opposed to forwards. And they require the amount of configuration and customization where obviously there's got to be a ton of human intervention involved.
Yep.
So I honestly don't think the machines are taking over anytime soon.
Not
right?
quite there yet.
Yeah, no. I think that there's a lot of really good AI plays out there. Are the ones in HR technology necessarily leading that? I don't think so. But I have seen some good bots, and certainly Ray by Hiring Solved, which is one that I actually in particular like. I know that I probably shouldn't say that on the show, given the competitive subset, but that's, I would say, one of the closer ones I've seen to true artificial intelligence, only because it's pulling off of a lot of trend data. But, who knows what's going to be next. All I know is that I am really stupid, and my human learning could probably use a little bit of machine boost itself.
So not quite there yet, but looking forward to the rise of the machines, what kind of applications do you foresee?
So this is the scariest thing that I think I've seen when I look at the space. There is a bot now that can actually automate when your other bots are broken and send out a human to go fix the programming code and debug it, right? So you have a bot that's monitoring other bots,
and deploying humans,
and then deploying humans, right? So that's already in existence, actually,
that's awesome.
And it's exactly. So what I honestly think the future again is largely going to be is going to look a whole lot like a search engine, right? So I can both guess what trend data is going to look like through Google Insights, right?
Yep.
And I think that I can look at what my competitors are spending, right? And I think that I can probably figure out how to go head-to-head with them in such a way where I'm going to gain competitive advantage. But I think everything's going to go all in one. And so a lot of the bots actually are really cool with the way that they're able to parse data. So I actually think that when we talk about big data, I think all AI is going to be is making that in a neatly packaged way that follows natural language. So GrowthBot Have you seen that from, so it's HubSpot.
I don't think so.
So it's interesting, and like it's not anything that you or I couldn't do in 5 seconds, but it's a Facebook Messenger app where essentially you can ask it like, who is whatever domain name bidding against for keywords? What's their average PPC? How do they rank for organic? What's the value? So just like simple questions like that, I think, it's easier for me to do that through Facebook Messenger than it is to go into my like dashboard. So I think we'll just start seeing little applications like that. But there's so much data that's already out there and so much more that's being created. I think just making that manageable in such a way where you can specifically answer those little questions, that's going to be the holy grail. So I don't think anything's going to get smarter, except for I think data's become more parsable, and that's where machine learning and AI are going to be. It's just learning your preferences on what data sets you want to recall, right?
Gotcha. So this whole week you've had back-to-back, I'm sure, analyst briefings, meetings with all kinds of vendors and other people in the press. What are you seeing out there on the floor that's exciting to you this year?
So I don't know that I'm seeing a whole lot of innovation, right? I'm seeing a lot of iteration, and I'm seeing a lot of people who are using buzzwords in a correct way. What I think is interesting is that for all of the companies that are talking about, we can do analytics, machine learning, AI, like these very sophisticated capabilities, exactly zero can tell me the ROI on trade show attendance. So that may be the holy grail of marketing analytics going forward. But I will say that the companies that are in the startup pavilion generally tend to be a little bit more interesting to me, only because there's some stuff I haven't seen before. Whereas I would say the tier 1 ERPs, without getting too specific, can talk to me all day about their roadmap and vision. And at the end of the day, they're the ones who created the problems that innovation needs to solve, right? So
exactly. Can you be specific on like which are the innovations that are going to solve some of those like legacy problems?
So I don't know that they're necessarily I wouldn't say innovative, but so you've let me back up. Iterative. So I'll give you an example of one that's here, which is a company that's called Restless Bandit, which essentially does what you do with social data, only within specifically a existing resume database, so it's not nearly as powerful of a tool. What's the entire point of it? They're going after Talayo's user base because Talayo functionally is not a great system, and I think we all know that for data extraction or any sort of like parsing or stack ranking. So essentially you're just seeing point solutions arise that are able to sell into enterprise systems to fix problems that that enterprise system should probably fix. So I think that's probably a pretty good example, and I think that a lot of just aggregation of existing stuff onto a stack seems to be the way it goes. So middleware is a category that I would say it's not necessarily innovative, but
it's not going away soon. It's
not. Everyone's integrating, which is different than what we've seen in the past. I think, given the fact that this has been a very firewalled, think Monster. Like, if you want to look at our resumes, you have to go through us, and then you have to use Seymour, and, there are a lot of tight permissionings. And what I think is fascinating is everyone has an open API now. So where that data goes, how it's being used, jury's still out, could be quite evil. Don't know that yet, but I think that there's an increased willingness and acknowledgement that there's not going to be a single solution that works. And I think that even the companies that are trying to own that integrated talent management end-to-end solution are waking up to this like exchange or marketplace idea with the knowledge, A, that channel sales is probably a pretty good source of revenue.
Right.
2, data is kind of what sells, so how much data you have and how you can slice and dice it's important. And 3, they cannot engineer their own code base quick enough to keep track of either changes in the market, customer demand, or new products that are being developed.
So looking forward, maybe it's something you saw here at the show or not, where do you expect the largest strides to be made in this space over the next year?
That's a very good question. So I think I think that it's actually going to be more focused, and this is not a new thing, on sort of internal communication, collaboration, and kind of bringing everything into an employee workflow. So I would say an example of that, if you look at like the Salesforce Slack integration, right? And then obviously you have like Yammer sitting within Microsoft. God only knows how that's going to end up working out. But so I think that just kind of the enablement to both have kind of the real-time connectivity that's worked in the seamless way to your workflow. So like any Chrome extension basically, but within a B2B environment's probably going to make everything feel a little bit more contemporary, kind of tie the data sets together and hopefully have a little bit more utility. So I think that SharePoint's days are probably done. The days of having a dedicated project management system and tracker are probably done. I think that's all going to actually integrate. So that's going to probably enable companies to have better visibility not only into what individual employees are doing, as opposed to just like, oh, how long have they been off, since they've been active on Microsoft's little messenger thing, spyware, the chatbot thing.
Right.
So I think that you're not only going to be able to see what individual employees do, how they do it, and be able to gauge productivity, but also probably be able to see a lot of different capabilities, insight into organization, project teams, communication styles, and ultimately moving towards sort of the ability to drive down under the Holy Grail, which is the informal networks that exist, right? So those aren't necessarily on an org chart who the person who's connecting your organization either externally or internally are.
Okay.
So I think that having the ability to look across workflow, whether that's TA, internal collaboration, even these post-performance reviews, all this data is just going to function to be able to give organizations a top-down look that looks nothing like a traditional org chart. It looks much more like a bunch of different size nodes, right?
It'd be a bigger network as opposed to just like a pyramid.
Right, exactly, because the real org chart doesn't exist. And
right.
I don't think companies have wised up to that, and I think that's going to make hiring way better, because then you're going to be able to tap into those networks in a much more effective and much more meaningful way, as opposed to like putting out an all hands call to referrals, or, oh, we have a retention problem. Let's look at these like drill down performance reviews. You'll be able to say, if this person goes, all these 6 people are going to go, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's who you're going to focus on. So I think that those tools are already largely starting to roll out, and I think that's very exciting from the sense that it not only creates accountability, but also creates visibility, and that's something that HR technology has generally been terrible at from an end-user perspective.
I love it. There's only one Matt Charney. You can check out all his work on recruiting blogs and Recruiting Daily, and if you see him on the show floor, ask him how he feels about LinkedIn.
Spoiler alert. I'm interested to see what they do next.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
Hey, you know what? Microsoft has, as an avid gamer, I can speak to the fact that they can do some integrations correctly.
That's true.
Like Xbox Live, I think, is like my favorite technology that's ever been created. So we'll see. But I'm going to guess no.
Okay. Matt, thanks so much for stopping by. This has been great.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man.